Okay, now the question is it picking up the mic or not? Hello, my fishies. It's Kat from the Fire Tuna Club, and welcome back for another project. So today I'm actually working on a diorama thing, but first let's clean up this mess. Let's start by putting the hot glue gun up. Oh god, this is why I don't use the other one. Ew. A clean desk? Could it be video editing at work? I know just what to do with this nice clean desk. So, for this diorama, I want to go back to my Iota Fantasy Online series. This is one of many pieces, and the idea basically is an abandoned courtyard, and artists, please don't come after me. I know I'm bad with perspective. I'll get to that at some point, along with chickens, and banish the McCluckin of Doom, and get paid, and get reputation, of course. I also do want to make at some point a statue that the idea is going to be that the statue changes depending on what your alignment is, or your reputation with certain cities. Like oozing out fog. I have no idea how I'm going to actually manage that in doll form. But either angle is pretty weird, but they're way not straight. Like, I mean, there was a drunk cobbler at work here. Am I making any sense? Either way, let's just get started on the floor. All you're going to need for this project is a ruler. Transparent one would be best. An X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors will work just as well. Craft foam, scrap craft foam, lots of craft foam. Lots of craft foam. Chipboard, cardboard, poster board, foam board, whatever suits you. Your hot glue gun. Mod Podge, acrylic paint, any kind will do. A pencil or pen to mark with. Using a cutting board probably isn't a bad idea either. So let's go ahead and begin by marking out on your chipboard with your ruler an 18 by 18 inch square. We're not done with the cutting boards yet, don't put them away. Get your craft foam and start cutting. If you want to do exactly what I did, I cut my squares 2 by 2 inches. However, depending on what kind of stones you want to make, you can go bigger or smaller, or you can even cut circles. As for how many squares to cut, this much. And even this much wasn't enough, so cut some more. Once you have all the squares you think you'll need and some more, you'll want to get your hot glue gun plugged in, and while it's warming up, you're going to want to get your scissors or your X-Acto knife and start shredding into your stones. The goal here is to make them look weathered. Don't worry about making a mistake, because the whole point of this exercise is to make a weathered, worn down area. And also so I can practice my dry brushing some and have some fun with doll stuff at the same time. So let's go ahead and fast forward. Keep in mind, you may have to clean during the midway point because there ends up being a lot of foam. And also, you'll want to stop and check on your hot glue gun. Make sure you plugged it in. Realize you didn't plug it in, and plug that in. Start again, finish the rest of the foam. If you want, you can leave a couple of pieces that are still in good condition. I'll get to why later. If you want to know how I marked my chipboard, well, you can keep wondering, because I did it and it was a waste of my time. If you want to mark yours and it helps you, go for it. You'll want to start by laying out your first line of cobblestones to set your pattern. Even if you go with a staggered pattern or a grid pattern, you'll need to lay down the first set to get it right. This is where the hot glue comes in. You will just be binding your foam to whatever you use as your base. In case you haven't already noticed, this project is very prep intensive. You will spend a lot of time cutting and gluing, so keep that in mind. I personally did this over the course of a few days with many interruptions, but it is an easy project to start and stop. You can probably even swap out that hot glue for an open and use glue so you don't have to wait for the glue gun to heat up. Remember that perfect stone? Yeah, it's right there. Well, originally the idea was just, let's see what happens, and then the more I thought about it, the better I liked this idea for the Iota Fantasy Online series, which that stone could be where somebody has set a trap and it's meant to lure in adventurers and, untimely deaths. Whoops. If I don't use it for an Iota Fantasy doll, it can just as easily be a replaced stone in an ancient ruin that someone's caring for. What kind of stone tiles would you make? Hit up the comments section below and let me know. Once you have all your tiles glued down, you'll want to get your cutting implement and clean up all the edges so you don't have any floppy tiles hanging off the side. These next optional steps are some great ways to add a little extra detail. In the gaps in the stone, you can take your scrap foam, cut out some more pieces that kind of fit in there, and then put them in to make it look like worn stone bits that are still embedded in the dirt.
Honey?
Yes?
Can you help me?
Be right back.
Not to mention, with a pencil, I know I'm using the clay tool here, but you can just as easily do it with a pencil or a pen. You can mark cracks into the stone where it's not completely broken off yet, but it's working on it. Go wild adding cracks here. The idea, not to mention foam, is forgiving. It's ruins. You can't overdo it. Like, the more extreme the ruin, the more damage and carnage happened in the past. Or, a little bit of ruins being freshly abandoned. Another helpful tip, if you're like me and you kinda just went with any foam you had, it is kinda hard to see the cracks, and at some point I was just going, am I going too much with this for the concept I had? So I decided to cheat and use some buttons. You can use scraps of paper, whatever you have laying around as long as you have enough of it, to lay on your tiles so you can kind of see if you're getting too dense with your cracks and where to keep going. This is what I mean about the buttons making a difference. Those cracks are really hard to see. Well, let's get to painting. I mentioned paint, but I forgot to mention you'll also need a paintbrush and a paint cup. Don't drink out of your paint cup. That's why I've got this one specifically as my one and only paint cup in this room. You want to fill that up, get your paint and your Mod Podge. We're gonna make a base coat. My base coat will be brown because dirt, but you can make it black or white if you want. We'll be mixing the paint and Mod Podge together to help get us started. Using the Mod Podge in your base coat means that the glue will harden and keep your foam from acting like a sponge. Basically, if you don't use Mod Podge, every layer after will progressively get sucked up into the foam and all your hard painting work will disappear. It does also act as a good layer of protection. Now that the base coat is done, time to upgrade to a real paint palette! Yeah, I found it. It's actually time to paint the stones now, so I used a variety of blue, gray, and white paint mixed together. I was not consistent with this at all, because variety in the stones means for better stones. Ew. Don't forget to shake your paint, guys. The variety in the stones means that it's going to be a little bit more natural, I think. Now, if you haven't picked up the theme to this project yet, let me remind you in this next step. Paint however you feel like it. I literally spent half the time going, these 3 stones look good, time to pick another color. And just kept going and did no sort of consistency whatsoever. And while it looks weird, it does come out in the end, so give it a try. About here's where I got impatient doing the second and third layers on the stones that needed it. I started dry brushing as well on the ones that were done. And I think the randomness and the way I did this kind of helped achieve the look I get at the end. I'm telling you, a stone courtyard is the best forgiving project to practice painting on. You see poorly diluted rust-colored wash. I see blood stains from a murder most foul. I made sure to put it on more stones because I wanted people to know that somebody most certainly bled out here. I don't know if they're convincing bloodstains, but I like them, and to me, that's all that matters for this project. I did some research and came back with another wash that had some black and brown together in it. Proceeded to make some more mistakes and stains that I hadn't meant to do, but I decided to leave them there. Because it's a weathered, worn-out, ancient rune. There's gonna be stains, there's gonna be bloodstains, there's gonna be whatever that white thing was. A lot of people have preferences on their foods, be it stuff you eat or you drink. I put that warning in here because most people's preference is probably not to use any sort of food in a craft. But try and stop me. You see that I'm using tea bags. I would recommend letting them dry like you see here so you can just snap them open and dump it out. I do extra let them dry just to be sure that there's no risk of mold or any kind of gross things happening. But to each their own, and if you're going to use this method to make dirt, like I have, you can open them fresh and get really messy, but I'm going to skip that gross bit. Just know that I recorded it and I'm opting not to use it. Ooh. So, anyway, let's just ignore me being grossed out by wet tea. And, I mean, I'm the one who did the project, whatever. I'm all for adventurous crafting. However, when you do have an option to be able to take like 5-10 minutes to test something out on the side before you potentially ruin your project, I say do it. Here I'm testing out the different mixes with glue on coffee alone, tea leaves alone, and a blend of them together. The blend of them together is what I ended up picking. Before you start gluing onto your project, you'll want to clean up any of the inevitable mess around your area. You do not want dirt in weird places on your project. Then you'll want to use your choice of glue, fill up those cracks, and then drizzle your dirt into the glue so that eventually it will set. And if you get a newspaper under your project, you can shake out all the loose dirt to reuse it on the other cracks. Once you're done filling in all the cracks, go buy a new container of Mod Podge, because you think you're gonna run out. Go ahead and get your paint palette, your old container of Mod Podge, and cover this in it. You want to protect your paint job. You also want to seal it in. And actually, the Mod Podge did help me texture the surface a little bit. It was something I discovered entirely on accident. While you watch this glue dry, just know that I intentionally dabbed and made as much texture as possible with the Mod Podge so that there would be even more texture on the rock. I mean, foam. Rock, foam, same difference. You might be asking, did I teach you anything? That's debatable, because I wasn't comfortable sharing any of the painting stuff since I'm not that great of a painter in terms of technique. There are other better channels out there that are more thorough and actually have done this enough to competently explain what they were doing. However, I do hope, as awesome as this floor turned out, I have encouraged you to at least give it a try. This is a project that is very hard to mess up, and if you want to learn something, this is a great way to do it. The courtyard grounds are really just the beginning. I'll be making more diorama elements. Please subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get alerts for the next parts. Let me know how much you like this video by clicking the thumbs up and leave your suggestions in the comments below. Until I make more pieces, let's see what a little video editing can do to bring this to life.
Caius, I've delayed the connection as much as possible. Load the zone already.
Make the connection, Arachne. The zone will be loaded before they are aware of the situation. Unsanctioned connection detected.